So yeah. Hi, how are you?
So we had another little problem with Orion. They said prior
About what a veteran is.
No, the big one. It does. I fixed it.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
And the principal knows, and she kind of says, well, no, the recent news, you know, why we didn't heard about that.
Yeah, I got the whole shirt on.
Hello, how are you guys?
Great. So anyways,
You know what I should have done?
Oh, that was
That's why we
you got a pretty job.
You know, we are kind of in a circle, obviously. Every time we walk together, we walk together. Every time we walk together.
I was very upset, and I didn't let it take it as part of it. And then they rejected me, and then they had a new lead, the other. I
I'll tell you to come right out through it.
Hi, welcome. Please continue conversation. I am just going to do some informal talking while everyone is still coming in. I just want to do call the meeting to order for the record at 6.
And then I'm working with
Can you hear me? Call the meeting to order? Yep.
So I have this whole thing right now, which is incorporated, like it's not a
And I just wanted to take an informal roll call of our executive board for the record. I'm Laura Palace, I'm the president of Castell Parent Council. We have Emmy Cardella. You can just raise your hand, Emmy. Treasurer Megan Prince, co-secretary, she's right there. Brianne King, right there. Lisa Kinerish and Karen Gifford, our vice president. We are all here. Lisa, do you have anything?
Oh, yes. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. The override was really there was so much teamwork. It was awesome. Everybody in here. So, yeah, I'm very excited. So 5 more years until we get to do it again. Rest up.
Rest up. So as everyone's coming in, I just wanted to remind, first of all, thank you all for coming. I see a lot of staff here who's not their own time. They weren't required to be here and they came. Victor is actually an SRE employee, but he's also a parent. And he is the one who is on our communications committee, and he is Facebook Living right now. So thank you so much. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the purpose of what we're doing. Our mission is always at the front and center of everything we do. And that's to unite our educational communities for the success of all students. So there's a lot of people who've not been to some of the SPC meetings here and some people who have been here before. So I just want to keep in mind that we're building partnerships and to ask questions to learn, and any individual issues that you might have or questions, we could try to, I think the employees that are here also brought business cards, and they're happy to answer individual questions when there's more time and time allows. So I just wanted to keep that in the forefront. The next informal thing we're going to do is the announcement. We are opening everything up for committees. So we approved 3 special committees. We need chair people. Hi, Allie. This is Allie. Have you met my friend Allie? Anyone? Hi. Sorry. It was on Facebook.
Lord, yes, she posted.
Anyway.
Allie dropped off her ballot.
Yes,
Yeah.
Allie dropped off her ballot before work, so that you guys, oh yes, awkward. Anyway, so the special committees, there's a sign-up sheet that will provide Emmy and Brian, and what that's for is you'll see special committees, we need chairpersons and members. We don't have formal titles of these committees yet. That's going to be up to the committees themselves. We have the issues are bullying, special education, and equity and diversity. For our standing committees, we need members and volunteers so we can get everything working even more efficiently. So if you're interested in more information about those things, please put your name down on the sign-up sheet, and we will email you a link. I am going to do a very quick motion to adopt our consent agenda. Lisa seconds the motion, and if it's for our executive board, and if there are no objections, we're just going to adopt consent agenda. Any objections? We have had a chance to look at these things before, so while Emmy and Brian are busy, I know that they've had opportunity to discuss it. So without any objections, it's so adopted. So the next thing we have our SPC rep agenda items. So I'd like to invite Steph Sorgel. Hi. From Hope Elementary to come up and talk.
Oh, I need to.
Either
walk
that
up
or
there
I can
and
give it to
stand.
you, whatever you're most comfortable about.
Yeah.
You're most comfortable. You typically have like 2 minutes typically to say what
sure.
you need to.
And do I need to be mic'd for Facebook, or can I just raise my voice?
I think you can just use the mic. That one is better. There are a lot of people with different levels of hearing.
Hi everyone, I'm Steph Sorgel. I am a parent at Hopi Elementary School in the Arcadia Learning Community, and I'm also a member of the Hopi Exec Board as the district liaison to SPC and our lovely school district. And I'm here today because I've hit a roadblock in this journey that I've been on to learn about something new. And I wanted to bring you along with me on that journey while I pump the brakes to see if you'd like to participate in it with me. During the advent of the Red for Ed movement, I became aware of the Scottsdale Education Association and what it represents, who it supports, and have grown to know members of the association and their objectives for the school district, for their professionals who are part of their membership. And one of those objectives, among many, is the TEA, which is the Teacher Employment Agreement. And it's a complicated topic. And our fantastic governing board members have indulged me in my questions, both in email and in cornering them after meetings, right, Sandy? But it is a complicated topic. So what I would like to bring forth is the idea that perhaps the SPC, as a parent, teacher, teaching professionals, administrators, council, come together and learn a little bit more about SEA, and perhaps learn a little bit more about TEA, because if you've heard anything about it, it's a very complicated topic. I honestly don't know where I stand on it. I'm still trying to read through all the documentation and just need some help. And so I don't know if there are folks in the room, obviously aside from our board members who've explored the topic, who might be able to provide some information, or if our SPC executive board have some guidance on where we go from here, or where I go from here, in either my personal journey or our journey as a council to help support our teachers, and also keep in mind, what our district needs are.
Perfect. I just say 28 seconds.
Oh,
I probably need a card.
Wrapping up early.
Yeah.
Please, no cards.
Thank
We're
you.
good.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And so procedurally, what's going to happen is that's going to be noted on the record. So then our next agenda item is an executive board is going to be talking about that and making a motion to bring that either as a general meeting topic or special event. And so it's basically thank you, and that is going to be tabled, and we will be discussing it.
Thank you, Steph.
The next question is from Amy Bonnet from Desert Mountain.
Hello, my name is Amy. I have 3 kids. 2 have graduated from Desert Mountain, and 1 is currently in Desert Mountain. I would like to know what the district is doing to support 504s, not at the site level, but at the district level. After having multiple issues, as certain people are smiling at me in the room, they know my name, issues on a yearly basis with my child's 504.
Thank you. And again, the purpose of all of this, because we don't discuss it directly, and it does need discussion, in-depth discussion with parents, what our role is. So we're noting it on record. We actually have already decided to create a special committee. We don't know exactly what that's going to be looking like in terms of goals, but we have some ideas, and that's for the special education committee. However, 504s might not necessarily be covered by that committee, so it's something that we have to discuss as an executive board to decide, to figure out where we go from here. Actually, before we have a presentation, we actually have Dr. Friedrich here for some announcements and some questions. You don't have questions actually, but if you do have a question, we can. Do you have questions? Okay. I'll put it in the answer.
What am I doing here? Good evening, and thank you for coming in. Happy to see a nice crowd here. I know that I have limited time, so there are a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about. First of all, and very importantly, I want to thank all of you for your support in getting the override passed. Teachers, all employees, and parents, you were very instrumental in getting that passed so that we can maintain our budget levels, which is very important. The programs that we have going on, the programs that you hear about tonight, to a large degree are supplemented through our M&O funds. A lot of the basic fund may come from grants, either federal or other grants, but they're supplemented through those M&O funds. That's very important. The amazing thing about that was that it passed with 61% approval rate. The political consultant, Paul Uland, who has worked with our PAC committees for a number of these elections, says that's the largest margin of victory, a large margin of approval that he can remember in all the years working with Scottsdale elections, both bond and override elections. So I appreciate all of your support. To me, that is an acknowledgement of the hard work that is being done on a daily basis by our teachers, our school administrators, and all of our staff. They take care of your kids on a daily basis. They work hard to make the best decisions educationally for them. And they give you confidence in what we're doing. And I think that vote is a reflection of that confidence that they have given you by working so hard on a daily basis. And I really appreciate your recognizing that and supporting us with that override election. It's for 5 years. So those of you that have students in high school, you don't have to worry about being charged with that in the future, but we do hope that you continue to support the district through the many elections over the years. Secondly, I thought I'd give you a couple of comments on the main topic tonight of differentiation. I have seen in my long career a lot of different types of initiatives for teaching. What works best for all kids? The brain research that was done mostly in the last 15, 20 years about how students learn was very instrumental in bringing to teachers the idea that kids learn in different ways. Different kids learn in different ways. So it's important for a teacher no longer to do what I'm doing, stand up in front of the class and give one message to everybody, expect everybody gets it. That no longer works, probably never did So the idea that a teacher can work with a class of, say, 30 students with 30 different needs points out to how difficult this job really is. And so the support is really necessary. It's nice that we have certain tools that separate some groups of kids so that we understand the kinds of help that they may need in a general sense. So for example, it's interesting to me that we have a gifted program, and kids are identified through testing and teacher recommendations, but they're identified, and the people who teach them are called gifted teachers. We have special education students who are identified through testing and have special needs, but for some reason the teachers aren't called special teachers. And I would submit to you that that's a very important distinction, that they are special teachers, as all of ours are, but the work that has to be done in those classrooms is so huge because the needs of every one of the students have to be met. We say that we want to take every student to his or her highest potential. We don't say we're going to take 30 kids at a time to their highest potential. Every individual student. That requires the ability not only to understand what needs to be done, but to deliver the lesson plan, the new skill to be learned in an individual manner. Huge task. There are a couple of schools, you know that the school grades came out last week also. A couple of schools that I would like to recognize. First of all, the three schools that improved their grade: Ingleside, Desert Canyon Middle School, and Coronado High School. I would also like to recognize Tonalea K-8. Tonalea K-8 did not improve its grade, but of the 14 areas to be tested in a K-8, so you have 6 grades that are being tested, times 2 tests, the English language arts test and the math test, plus 2 years of science testing. So 14 tests. Tonalea improved its percentage of proficient students in 10 of those 14 tests. Now, because of the way that the grades are decided, the formula used at the state level, they fell just barely short of improving their grade from a C to a B. We're confident they will be there next year. But I think it also points out a little bit of the inequity of the grading system. The grading system, A through F, was put in place because we all understand it. We grew up in that world, right? But it doesn't actually reflect what is going on in the school. If you have the kind of academic rigor, the kind of academic work that is being done in the classrooms in places like Tonalea, and they are not recognized for that, there's something wrong. So I'm stepping out and saying, I recognize Tonalea for the great work that they've done this past year. So with that, I was told to be brief. I'm willing to take a question or two, depending on the question. Just kidding.
Any question?
Hi, I was wondering if the district was exploring, like a basis, for example, the parents don't have to pay for the AP exams. And so I was wondering, since now that the state is giving $300 to the district when a student passes the AP exam with a 4 or 5, and I understand a bonus of, I've heard somewhere between $100 and $150 goes to the teacher. I was wondering if we were going to explore giving parents paying for the exam.
So the money that is awarded to the teachers through the district for students who pass the AP exams and the IB exams. By statute, 50% goes directly to the teacher.
Yep.
So what we have used, and that's not $300, it's not $150 to the teacher, it's per student who qualifies, who passes the test. And that's been a pretty nice sum for some of the teachers. Part of the concern that we have heard from other teachers, say honors teachers from freshman and sophomore year who feed into the junior and senior, is what do they get? So because of that concern, what we have said is that we started last year, I don't know what they did previously, but last year what we said was we will take the remainder of that money that we have held back and support all of the teachers who build that program through sending them to training, through supplies that are needed, especially in class, and we're supporting the AP and honors classes with that. A certain amount of that has been used to give scholarships to students who are on free and reduced lunch.
I think they always had that, though.
So we're not, well, there was another state fund that was done away with when this fund was put into place. So we have not considered by paying for, I don't know if there'd be enough, but for paying for all the AP tests for all, and I don't know of any district that has. But supporting the program, yes. Having it available for those who can afford to pay, yes, but not universal.
So it would just be the freshman and sophomore honors teachers that would be getting extra help or development?
No, actually, we sent current AP teachers to training. Any teacher who was interested in improving so that they could possibly teach an AP class in the future. We sent a large variety of teachers, but the idea has been, my idea all along has been that we feed the end result, that we have to support the teachers who are teaching the more fundamental skills at the earlier grades, freshman and sophomore grades, as well as making sure they have all the right materials all the way through the so-called honors track.
Is this going to be the third year that the state will have given out this bonus, or just the second year?
This is the third.
This is the third.
Yeah.
And so do you, I'm sure off the top of your head you wouldn't have an exact sum, but do you have an approximate amount of how much the state has given you so far for that amount?
No. Cheryl, do you have any?
So did you?
So we'll Google it and find out. The amount has changed every year per person, per test.
I think parents, speaking as a rep from Chaparral High School, I think parents like me that have kids that routinely take 11 AP classes, so that's $1,100 out of pocket, and if the college they're going to doesn't accept the AP credits, I'm just doing it for you guys. I mean, literally. So, I mean, to take the test. And so I would love to know that the school was actually getting some benefit from that kickback that they're getting from the state. And that might be something that maybe we could follow up on by saying exactly how much money is going back into the schools and how, so that parents don't feel like we just, because to an extent, like I could just write my teacher a $150 check and not have to take the exam. So, like, I just would like to know where that's going and how we're helping improve the school for everybody.
So, and we can come up with how much money, we have that accounting for how much money went to each school, because it was also done based on the number of tests taken at that school. Cheryl?
So there's two parts to it. It's the amount per, like you mentioned, per student, and then each school gets an amount to spend to support taking tests, materials, and then exactly what Dr. Precard said, we sent a large number of teachers out to training. So we divided it into those pots of money. The principals have a large amount to spend to backfill. I'll get the total amount between the couple.
But they're also able to use it for
John,
like the
I'm sorry
Title
to
I
cut you
school
off.
that doesn't have as many AP.
John, I'm sorry to
sorry,
cut you off,
sorry.
but the purpose for this, it is a very good question and needs to be addressed. And we'll do
Sorry.
it. No, don't be.
He asked for questions.
Well,
No,
let
I
me-
know. Just make
To be
sure
fair, it's his fault.
No, and the only reason I'm saying it is because we have a lot of parents here there too who have very specific questions about special education for their younger children who aren't quite where they need to be yet to understand the whole AP situation. So that's why I just want to make sure we have that time available.
So I have the microphone. So it's not just about the money. The studies, the last one that I saw out of Harvard about 10 years ago was done to show that clearly students who take AP exams, not even necessarily pass them, but who take AP exams do better, and this study was done for math and science, do better in college in those subjects. Because in order to take the test, they're in a more rigorous course, they get used to the rigor. And to take the course but not take the test diminished their success rate at university level. So there is something more than just the test and the money and so forth, but really the students are helping themselves as well.
There's a question behind you.
Yes?
What is the status of pre-AP in middle school?
Pre-AP was something that we've talked about for a long time and used that term pretty loosely. And now the College Board, who the ones who run the AP program, have established their own program and trademark for that. So we are introducing pre-AP in
Coronado, Tonalea,
Coronado High School, Tonalea K in the middle school, Cheyenne Middle School,
Copper Ridge.
and Copper Ridge in the middle school. Okay? But it is a prescribed program now, whereas it wasn't previously.
You have five more minutes.
Yes, yeah.
Quick question. I listened to a really interesting podcast on Freakonomics Radio. I don't know if I sent it to you recently about math curriculum in the United States. And one of the things that they said, the overarching message was that our math curriculum that we have in our high schools does not match what's needed in college, which also doesn't necessarily, and because of that, doesn't necessarily match what people need when they get out into the workforce, whether it's students who go from high school to a trade school or go to work or whatever, or it's adults that have graduated college who know what kind of math they use from there. And what they found was that statistics, data analysis, and that sort of thing is the overarching area that students need to be proficient in. And it's what people, if you ask in terms of what they use in their daily lives, whether it's spreadsheets or Excel or analyzing data, personal financial data, whatever it is, they use that far more than Algebra 1 or calculus, that sort of thing. Just about 2 to 4% of the population that uses that might be in a scientific field, whatever. So my question is, given that, and I know we just adopted a new math curriculum, is that something that you've looked at? And the other piece of that is that there was a disconnect between what high schools thought they needed and what college math teachers were saying, which is basically a solid foundation in basic mathematics, fractions, you need decimals, that sort of thing. If you don't have that, it's very hard, and kids, struggle if they don't have good math instruction going up to the higher levels. Then in college, it's even more of a struggle because they just don't have enough of the foundation. They said if they have the foundation, when you get to college, we can help you. So I'm wondering if you're aware of that and where this is in the whole discussion of a math curriculum.
Well, one of the biggest changes in my career in math instruction was from a mile wide and an inch deep, cover all standards every year, all across the board, to scaffolding those standards so that the fundamentals that you're talking about are learned well before you move on to the higher level of the standards. And I believe our new math adoption is one that has emphasized more the process of learning mathematics and problem solving than just rote memorization. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is to be able to predict the kinds of skills that the kids will have for jobs that we don't even know exist. So my answer to that has always been, we have to teach broad skills such as problem solving, creativity. We have to teach them the fundamentals so that they have the basics. But rather than just the memorization type of thing, memorizing tables, understanding how mathematics work. And I think that helps in those areas. And I don't know if Cheryl has anything more to say about the math adoption.
Last question. You know, our math I listened to that for Sing Freakonomics. It's awesome. And our math it's about how we're teaching it and going that depth. So we really are doing that with our math teachers. We're in fact starting on our next journey of math and those higher level math classes to make sure our students are prepared.
But will we look at data analytics? Because a lot of it was that everybody's gearing kids up towards the higher level math classes when most kids don't need that. Most kids need a solid foundation because the percentage who are going to use that higher math that all of our kids are, pushed to take, they're not going to use it.
It's that time, so we can utilize. No, I appreciate. I want you to know everything is on the record too. And for all other questions that are here, we have been using what we call the parking lot, which was post-it notes for questions with your email address, who it's directed to. Unfortunately, it hasn't been working, maybe because people don't like walking across the room. But so what we do, and also, honestly, I've lost some of the post-it notes. So that's the truth. So the reality of this is trying to always constantly improve, and as such, I have a green notebook there. So please, I'm not going to be in charge of it. I'm going to ask like Emmy, she's at Cheyenne. Trust me. So if you have a question, an email, who is it directed to, please write it down in the book, and we will do our best to address it either at the very beginning. We will try to get your questions answered directly, or it was recommended that at the beginning of our next meeting to also mention all of those questions and answer them. So that's what we will be doing. And next, the main show. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Kimberly Guerin.
Hi, I'm Kim Guerin. I'm really honored to be here tonight. Thank you so much. And we are going to have some small group interactive discussion shortly, because I love that we're all really getting into the weeds about teaching and learning and curriculum instruction. That's what we're about as a school district. So you're asking great questions. So just know in about 10 minutes, maybe 15, we're going to break up into small groups and you can ask those really tough questions. Educators, we get really excited about that. So there's going to be a lot of smiles in the room. So let me open up the presentation quickly. I need the Jeopardy music. Yeah, great. All right, so we're here tonight to talk about differentiated learning in Scottsdale School District, really meeting the needs of all students. So first, I want to go ahead and introduce the team. We have some really talented educators here, and these are the people that work behind the scenes to support the classroom teachers to help make that magic happen in the classroom. We never want the classroom teacher to feel like they're by themselves with the four walls and the door closed. It's really, teaching it is an art and a science, and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So we're honored as an educational services department to make sure all of the teachers feel supported so your child can have their individual needs met. So we're going to first, we already met Cheryl. She's the woman with the answers. Did she leave? There she is. So Cheryl Redner is our Executive Director of Teaching and Learning, and we just call her the woman with the answers. So there she is. Karen Brown. Have you had a chance to meet Karen? She's done some really great presentations for this parent council. She's our new Director of Gifted and Accelerated Services. Karen, stand up really quick so we can see you. Then we've got Linda Brake, our new Director of Special Education Services. And she also works with Marge Reberg, who is our Executive Director of Special Ed Services, and we're really excited when they can be here with us tonight. We have 3 English language coaches, if they could stand up, Jody Cottle, Lori Kelly, and Jamie White, and they support all English language development in the district. So thanks for being here, ladies. We have Karen Austin and Dorian Brown, one special education behavior specialist, and one is board certified behavior analysis, which is a really hard certification to get. So they are going to answer every behavior question, and I, as a parent, know that sometimes I need to knock on their door. So if you have a tough parenting question, these are the ladies to ask. We also have Shannon Cron, who is our clinical service coordinator here, and she is also here to support with the special education gals. And Dr. Steve Chestnut is here from Educate Student Services. Thank you. Let's give our team a big round. So really, our core purpose is to support, to ensure all individual learners reach their full potential. So we do that behind the scenes, supporting teaching and learning in the schools. And we always focus on our core values. We're growth-minded. We want to be humble, responsive, and student-focused. And every decision we make, we really strive for that. So here's our umbrella of educational services. So under educational services, we have special education, we have teaching and learning, accountability and instruction, and community education. And we collaborate in between the departments and with schools at all times. So this is the time where we're going to get to know you and you're going to get to know us briefly. This is just a couple-minute icebreaker. So if you don't mind grabbing your smartphone and clicking on your browser, and if you don't want to use your smartphone, you can pair up with a friend. And I'd like you to go to menti.com. Just go to your browser and type in menti.com. And once you get there, it's going to ask you for a code. And if you could type in those 6 numbers.
Any spaces?
You don't, no spaces needed. Give me a thumbs up if you're there. Well, you're already answering the survey, so clearly this is the high achieving group.
So you think this is this a free software?
It is free. There, of course, is a advanced subscription level. You know how they do that. But this is a great way, parents, if you're working with parent groups, to get input. It's called Mentimeter. All right, so we can have an idea. 42% of us in the room have elementary students. 13% of students attend a K-8 school. 13% middle school, and 34% high school. And who said high school parents aren't involved? That is just not true. Give yourselves a pat on the back. All right, our next question. My favorite subject in school. Go back before we have all this robust teaching and learning discussion. What do you miss?
Wait, how do I get to the next one?
It's always my favorite.
You should be
Just
able
go
to.
skip question.
Yeah. You should be able to.
Enter it?
Oh, here we go. Thank you.
Yeah. Lunch? Lunch was your favorite? All right, so the larger the word is, the more people are typing that word. It's like a wordle.
I was like, work with that.
Laura, did you pick conversational law?
I'm rooting for English.
I don't have Wi-Fi.
Public speaking.
That's what Laura put in.
All right, and our next question. What is your child's favorite subject in school?
Oh, that's easy. Is that yours, theater? Wow. There.
Oh, you know what?
All right, we just had a math adoption, so we're really excited about this math answer.
Oh, yeah,
something completely different than you. Type 5 emojis that describe your child or children. This is just for fun. All right, turn to your neighbor and describe why you chose the emojis you did.
I don't know, I just picked random letters, but I want to see the first
I did. It's our reflection.
That's a choice.
Stood out to me.
They don't even use emojis.
I think I was so anyways, I talked to you like
Yeah, love shoes. I'm trying to remember now. I think I did. And smiley face. Crying hysterically, laughing.
All right, let's wrap up in about 10 seconds. Last question. Type a word that describes your child's school. Last question. All right, we're going to have to share this order because this is going to make us feel really good. We all love our schools.
The other kids want to know.
Great. Thank you. All right, thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. All right, let's see if I can get back to the presentation. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly go over a few slides, and then this is going to give you a little snapshot of, you're going to figure out who you want to talk to, because we're going to split up into groups, and you're going to be able to talk to some of these wonderful educators in the room. So first we have the Teaching and Learning Department, which is a larger department that supports in many ways. So broadly, Cheryl Redner leads this group, and they can cover curriculum instruction, the instructional coaches that you see in the building supporting teaching and learning, supporting the teachers that are content specific are under Teaching and Learning Department. We have English Language Learner Services, we met the ladies in the corner, Gifted and Accelerated Services. Professional development is really something key that we do every day because as professionals, we just strive to get better and better to meet student needs. Fine arts and physical education and instructional technology. So it covers a broad variety of topics. So going a little bit more into gifted and accelerated learners. So this is Karen Brown. Karen, give one more wave. You might want to talk to Karen tonight to talk about the content of Gifted, that we have complex, abstract ideas presented in a variety of disciplines, the process of higher level thinking, the learning environment that is flexible, and the assessments and products that are used. You may have a burning question for Karen, such as, what is CGP? I've heard this and I don't know what it is, or what is this clustering? Or what is the process to find out if my child is gifted? Or I have a gifted child and I really don't know what to do with them. So if those are your burning questions, please see Karen.
She's going to be at the table back there.
She's got a poster board back there. Okay. Special education, raise your hand over here. They're going to stay at that table. And special education is specifically specially designed instruction, which we call SDI, developed to meet the unique needs of a student with a disability. And if you look at the graphic on the right, you'll notice that staff, administration, parents, and students all need to work together to provide equal access to the curriculum for all students in the least restrictive environment. That's at the heart of what we do. So you might want to know, what is FAPE? What is IDEA? What is least restrictive environment? How do I find out if my child needs special education services? What is Child Find? I've heard about this Panda preschool. Is it available for all students? And then if my child is receiving services in special education, what happens after my child has met their diploma requirements? So if you have any of these questions, you're going to go to that table. Next, we have the English Language Learner Department, and they provide services for students that English is their second language. They also provide Native American services. They provide instructional interventions. They have very focused curriculum and materials, and there's a lot of mandates that we have to meet in regards to providing these services through the Department of Ed. They also provide services for parents and families by translating, having parent education, and assisting with social services and school, home, and communication. So you might have a question for them about what is the Azella assessment? How can I access services for my child or family? And what models of instruction are available for language learners in Scottsdale? And they are over here. If they give one wave, that's where you're going to go look for them. Next, behavior coaches, raise your hand. So behavior coaches, why don't we have you scoot back this way so we're spread out. And behavior coaches really help all students. They do focus on students needing special services, but they are available to help with all students. And we provide multi-tiered systems of support. We want to make sure that we don't just meet academic needs, but we meet behavior and social emotional needs. That all means all. So you might have some really interesting burning questions for our behavior coaches, like what parenting strategies are most effective, and why is my child doing this, and how can I get them to stop? I think that all the time. I have a teenager. So if you have a burning question for the behavior coaches, they're going to be back there. So, and then we're going to have just general educational services questions. So Cheryl and I will be over here. If you have just a general, why are we doing it that way? Have we thought about this? I want to give some input. We're going to be right here. For this structure, this is not really meant for individual student questions. We really want to help if that's needed. So that's why we have our card. We're going to pass out our card. We're happy to speak with anyone. But we want to respect everyone's privacy and their time. So these are more general questions related to everyone. There's not a structure to this. You go to the table you're interested and you rotate whenever you want. So it's you might join a discussion and stay longer, or you may want to do 5 minutes at each table. Any questions about that? Okay, so we're going to probably do this for about half an hour. We'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and get situated.
You're so she's like, smile. Because you're smiling. We were saying
sorry.
Are you coming with us?
You did that.
Thank you. No,
Many psychologists often say that non-verbal reasoning is the purest form of intelligence. There's nothing else connected to it. It's just my reasoning abilities. That's what I'm doing. Okay?
I have a question about curriculum. It seems like there's a lot of emphasis on the gifted program in the elementary school. There's the pullouts and the testing and all of that, and so the kids kind of get in that and they're there. And then I now I'm a 7th grader, so he's exiting there in middle school, and it kind of just seemed to stop, like at 6th grade. And and so I'm just curious. I mean, I see some of your sign, AP, and I get honors, but honors isn't really gifted, at least in his middle school. This could be anybody. So what is there? What do we do?
So I have to be honest. I started in July. Okay? So we're making some changes, and I would agree with it that the programming as we have it right now is not at the level that I want it to be for middle schoolers, nor is it at the level that I want it to be for high schoolers. So what we're doing right now is this year is getting that foundation in elementary put in place so that we're cluster grouping appropriately. That cluster grouping will continue into middle school in the following years. And the value of cluster grouping is we know that gifted kids need each other. We know they do. They support each other, they push each other, and for a gifted kid, giftedness can feel very isolating for a child because giftedness is not about how smart your child is, it's about how they process information. These kids think differently. So oftentimes, because they think so differently, they feel very alone. They feel like nobody else thinks like I do. Nobody else sees things like I do. So when we put them together in a group, they're like, oh my gosh, I have people that I can talk to. I have people that I can connect with. Well, that doesn't go away just because you leave elementary school. They need that opportunity in middle school. They need that opportunity in high school. And while we recognize that by the time they get to high school, many of them have kind of shifted out into other areas. They've gone into those CTE classes. They've gone into the AP classes. Middle school is still a time where they need that structure. So we cluster them in a room with a teacher who's trained to work with them. And there might be 6 of them. There might be 10 of them in that room. And then the rest of the kids in that room are typical learners, but what we've done is we've lowered the range for that teacher. And so we're going to cluster them in those honors classes. So there's going to be high achievers in that room, but you have to understand, gifted kids and high achievers don't learn the same way. So we have to have a teacher who can balance the teaching that has to happen with those kids. In fact, oftentimes high achievers and gifted kids butt heads because they don't learn in the same fashion. So I have to be honest with you, we're working on it. And you are going to see some changes, especially next year and the year after that. We are making some very purposeful, intentional changes in looking at some curriculum changes for students, looking at some resources that we feel that we need to have access for those kids in middle school and in those first 2 years of high school as freshmen and sophomores, because that's not where they hit those AP classes, but we still need to keep them engaged. We need to keep them excited about learning. Middle school is a hard time for any kid. I'm sorry. Nobody that I've ever talked to has ever gone, oh, I loved 7th grade. Nobody loved it. It's an awkward time. For a gifted kid, it's even worse. So we do need to put some things in place, and we are working on it. I wish I could tell you that it's going to happen like that. It's not.
Well, there was, I don't know if it's just the school that I'm outside, that last year there was kind of nothing. This year they've done a couple of day pullouts, which my son's actually loved.
Good.
So whatever, if that was part of what you're doing, that's actually a good thing.
We're working on it. And what works for one kid doesn't work for all.
You guys are going to be tip-top on my,
trying to figure out, okay, what are the options so that we are meeting all kids' needs.
So the clustering is going to be just how things happen in the elementary school now, because that was a real frustration.
So we are going to cluster. We're going to cluster starting in kindergarten. Oh, do you want to? So clustered learning says that I'm going to take the gifted identified children, and again, I'm going to put them in a class together, right? And if I have 6 of them, they're all going to be in one class. I'm going to fill that classroom with typical peers, but that teacher's going to be trained in strategies. In fact, we're going to be teaching teacher training every month from January all the way through June. Teachers are going to be trained so that they have strategies to suit the needs of those kids. In some schools, we'll actually have 2 clusters in a grade level because we have too many kids to put them all in one room. We need those kids to be able to stay together. We need them to be able to learn in that way. So that's the way cluster grouping works. You don't apply for a cluster grouping classroom if your child is gifted and identified, they're in a cluster classroom. That's just how we service them. So we need to make sure that we're doing that because we are changing. Right. You were talking to your friend.
No, I'm good.
So there is, and that's our job is to do podcasts and then be able to.
Can I talk to you about a broad issue that we've talked a lot about at the Chaparral Executive Board and at the Board of Directors? It's a topic that has come up. I've been on the board there for 5 years, and it's come up repeatedly every single year for 5 years. And that is the lack of, we call it a robust program in the non-honors English classes. So my kids are the all-honors AP track, and my daughter's a freshman right now at college, and she is doing beautifully. She feels extremely prepared. She can write quickly and well. She got 5s on her AP exams. She feels very prepared for college. My friends whose children did not take any AP or honors classes feel like their kids are struggling quite a bit. And not just in content, but in like study techniques, note taking, the basics. Because there's such a chasm and a delta between the 2 tracks. And I'm not saying dumb down this track. This is great. It's doing very well. Got a kid in a highly selected school, and it's awesome, right? But so you have a student like my brother. He was a bright guy, went to Stanford, has a PhD in physics. He sucks at English. He's dyslexic. But it doesn't mean he's stupid and he shouldn't have learned how to write anyway, right? And so what we have though is, and this is, I'm not exaggerating, in our non-honors classes, there are kids that are writing a paper a semester. That's it. So, and when you talk to the teachers, bless their hearts, they have 180 students. It's a lot to grade. It's a lot to keep track of. We can't help them as parent volunteers because of FERPA laws. We can't help with data entry. We can't do anything for them. It is a huge, massive workload for these teachers, a lot of whom are new. Because remember, the old seasoned teachers tend to be the AP honors teachers, right? So you got this teacher who's been there for 2 years, right, Sandy? And then they got 180, and then everybody's going, oh my God, these kids don't know how to write. We keep asking for something. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to elect people who will give you guys more money. I'm working at it. Very difficult. We're trying, but in the confines of what you have to work with, how do we do a better job supporting those kids who can't quite do the AP honors track but need to have something to go on to be successful before they go to college?
So we're always teaching standards. So I don't know. I'm sure I'm hoping to policy and curriculum hours which really dive into what those standards are. Yeah. It's exactly what Dr. Pickard said. It's like
yeah. When you have friends whose kids scored a 1250 on their SATs, which means they're not dumb. It's not a high score, they're not dumb. That's above average, and they are flunking freshman English at a state school. It's concerning. I'm not exaggerating.
Talking about knowing what the solution is of the behavior.
That's the intervention, and then some of the tips of like behavior specific ways, telling them what you want them to do, not what you don't want them to do. And I know as a parent, I did that all the time. Stop this, don't do this. Instead of saying, do this, and telling them exactly what it is. I am just such an advocate for behavior-specific praise. We went to a conference and a school did, this was kind of their, what's the word I'm thinking about?
Their mandate, that was their goal, to increase behavior-specific praise and to see if it affected expertise on this discipline. And they found a significant drop in their ODRs when they had increased by 50% their behavior-specific. So, and there's tons of research that says behavior-specific praise is more reinforcing for that behavior. So what that means is just that the behavior you are giving behavior-specific praise for is more likely to occur in the future. And that's what we want to do. Instead of saying, stop doing that, to say to this person next to them, oh, good job, sitting quietly, when this person is like, blah, 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 blah. And then the hope is that this person now will stop and sit quietly. But the important thing is to make sure that you then acknowledge, I'm sure that you're sitting quietly. Because if you forget that part, then it's not going to work for her. And that's your main intervention.
And I love the story. Dorian tells it well. That went around, I think it was on Facebook or something, that he said,
Yes, I mean, it's crazy.
So how do I go about Chaparral? Is the 504 coordinator of that Chaparral. And you let you know that you want to have a conversation. And what you're doing, through the process.
Regardless, I would say I should stay in one place.
I'm not here. I'm not here.
Yes, I Thank you so much. We've talked about that. So then on the other side of
Maybe it's as simple as every school making sure that that's a book that they offer these services.
And it is unified, you know, they're getting. I might be able to put up some of these did you know, because I think people in Scottsdale and they have no idea the diversity that we have, you know, and yeah, it's either English or one other language. Sorry, but we too have been on the same side trying to get our families involved and family events so that everyone does feel welcome. So I think if everybody's working for the same that's great together.
And I do think there are people that want to be involved, they just don't know how or where or what. And so I think that you're probably the first line of communication. You know, if the principal could probably rattle off 5 parents that would love to be involved.
I hope teachers are teachers that work with the ELs are in tune with the parents that are coming for whatever activity that they're doing.
Yeah.
That may be good, you know, and if it comes from someplace safe like that. So you've been a great support in our classroom. Yeah.
Or even just like in the newsletter highlighting different teachers, different things that they're doing on their platform, you know, sort of as a way to say, hey, this is what's going on. I always joke, like, you can have a child that is ELL gifted and special needs, right? So which box do you check off? Right. You know, like which table do you go to? So it's like, how do you figure out how all those services are, you know, intertwined and connected, and, you know, also with the classroom teacher, try to create.
How does that work, like the gifted or special ed needs, ELL? Do multiple pull-outs? Or is that how it's case by case. I mean, you have to look at the whole child and figure out what's best for them, or where they really excel, or where they really need that support.
Okay. Social studies always loses out. That was my. I used
really?
to teach like, what do we call that? Oh, well, social studies. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Can you name any of the capitals? No, you can't.
We really do encourage our teachers to use social studies and science as the content. Yes.
Really? Okay. And that is because
often your pull-outs.
The two things that are tested are math and English.
Right, so that's
so the pull-outs obviously end up being sciences. So
you can't pull out one by line.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So too. I mean, what a great vehicle for the kids to have learning about science and social studies and learning English through it. You know,
yeah.
It's
so much conversation.
Yeah.
And
it's fun. Yeah. I am.
There's so many new apps and things like, you know, not where in the world is Carmen here, but just newer versions like that, like the, you know, to find out how different places about like different parts of the world and all those things.
What's going on in this picture? Classrooms all over the U.S. but then looking at pictures that are happening all over the world, like current events that are happening. So it's like, and it means what's going on in this picture. It's a safe way to start.
I should have black and white ones in my class this year. It was
and you know, there's a lot of state agencies because that's how
we go and lock that down. So like,
it's amazing the turnover because my son was in DDD. The DDD employees didn't.
Now there's turnover.
Then I'm saying, you mean you don't know what PANDAS is?
Yeah.
There's DDD employees that don't know the SUSD preschool program is PANDAS. And I'm sitting there going, so what do you tell your parents who should have their kids in the PANDAS program?
They probably tell them to go to daycare.
You know, they'll tell you just to go to your district, but they often leave you to find it for yourself. And a lot of parents at that stage, sometimes they don't even know what their district is.
Or who at the district. Yeah.
And they don't know who to call and they don't know where to start. So,
because I was looking up a young man's address today, and I couldn't find out what
Is there a marketing person as part of SUSD?
Yes. Communication.
Okay. Because that might be the person that.
honestly, DDD, because the DDD people work, they mainly work districts. They go out to specialty. So all that needs to be is this needs to be passed on to the individual DDD coordinators and said, this is the school district.
Who is your coordinator?
I can't think
I've
of
got
her name.
Arlene Powers.
No, I can't think of it because it's just changed.
I think we're on our fourth one in 2.5 years. Yeah.
We're on our third.
Yeah.
They changed.
And what kind of services do they get respite?
If you can find it, yes. Respite have.
I can't find somebody.
For 2 years I tried to get ABA services.
They have just changed the system. I
Have
know
they?
that it may work better, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I had to pay down to for ABA services, which is, I did a year of it, and it cost twice as much as my child's first year of college.
Yeah.
So I can, yes. So you can imagine
it's like $100 an hour. Yeah.
$140 an hour. Well, I know people that have left teaching special education to become ABA therapists because they can.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. I also know people that have left ABA to go back to teaching because they
Yes. So for sure I see all of that. It's more about outlook moving need something else.
Okay.
And what's in and out. Just sort of I just wanted to have someone to learn
And that is my next I love when it's school interaction when parents are talking and something that we can
you know what? That drives
So we'll be doing that as well. So we will be seeing invitations to have a voice at the table, but I can absolutely talk to Laura about that professional development.
It would be nice if possibly they did it even during orientation at the beginning of the year, where it's an option to say, like, listen, this is what you like. They tell me what they're doing for class, like the syllabus for the year, but it doesn't register because if it's not real until I see it, she brings it home.
We just had a meeting today about standards-based grading, and we are already planning to create a parent video explaining standards-based grading that parents can watch in the fall to understand how that's different from a traditional report card and what the benefits are. So this is something we're thinking of, but I think with the math, a presentation with questions and answers would be helpful. So let me see if we can do that.
Yeah, it would be nice just to have a basic understanding of how to help
We
them.
did that with gifted services, and it was really
I never had
and I've been there, done that, homework struggling.
Yeah, the English she's fine with. She's doing really well, and she's a good reader. So I mean, that's good. But I also have heard that the second grade is more of a transitional year, and it's a tough year. And that okay, so how they do this?
When they're sitting there and they've got a big smile on their face and they're eating ice cream. It's like, oh, you're happy. And then kind of the next time they're happy, go, oh, you look kind of like you did when you were eating the ice cream the other day. What are you feeling? So they are connecting the feelings of it because that makes it more impactful for them than a face on a card. And a lot of our students who do struggle with understanding emotions, they might be able to, that's a happy face, that's a sad face, that's an angry face.
Right. But they can't tell you what it is
because they don't link that with the feeling that their bodies are feeling. So a lot of times once you start labeling it for them, and then you back off from telling them how they're feeling, and you say, how are you feeling? And a lot of the schools use zones of regulation. So that is basically, that's more for those that get angry or frustrated. And so then you're linking the feelings to the zone, and then each zone has a list of coping strategies.
Which hopefully ties to regular.
Right. Like Just like they were saying, you have to differentiate for everybody. It needs to be specific for that student.
Because some student may want to take a walk to content. Another one.
Stamp job is that I am letting you know this one student I need to know the word.
I read a couple of them.
I mean, honestly, and I'm and I
Okay, so there's this huge disconnect. We might see Nice to meet you. Thank you.
So that's where the CGP comes in. That's where we look and say, okay, these kids need to go above and beyond. A cluster group isn't going to meet their needs. Now, that's not all kids. Some kids, they're happy in a regular classroom. They're just fine. These are kids who really need more of a radical acceleration. They need to be a year to a year and a half to 2 years above grade level. So those are the kids that go into the CGP. It's an application program. We look at their academics as well as their testing to make sure that it's a good placement.
So if I'm a parent of a CGP, and one coming up into it,
cluster grouping isn't going to change the CGP at all. CGP is going to stay. What we're doing is looking at how do we best service the child that is gifted but doesn't need CGP.
Okay. And then you said the CGP working at a grade level 1.5 to 2
above.
Is that the driving component of the CGP objective is to get them working at work?
Not really.
Or what if they just think
so? CGP is really gifted in general is keeping 3 balls in the air. You need to keep the acceleration ball in the air, you need to keep the enrichment ball in the air, and you need to keep the social emotional ball in the air. You drop any ball, and the program is going to fall. What we know about these kids is they thrive on that push, that drive. They want that. Not all gifted kids do, and that's fine. But for those kids that really need it, we have to provide something for them. Now, these classes go very deep in content. They go very deep. So it's not just how fast we can go, it's the structures that we can put in place for them, the learning that allows them to really explore and look deeply at something. But we're also not going to slow them down. When they want to learn and push themselves further, we're not going to get in their way. We're going to let them keep going.
Okay. And did the CGP expansion, the ones that you listed there, did those happen with this school year? No,
they're coming up. These are coming up. These will be next year.
Okay. And the CGP, does the students spend the entire day?
They spend the entire day in the CGP program. Everything in their day fits in that CGP program. That's their homeroom teacher. The advantage of cluster grouping is that we can provide very similar things. They can have gifted instruction all day, but without the radical acceleration, because they don't necessarily need the radical acceleration. They just need maybe something extra in science, something extra in social studies, something extra in reading. And we can provide that in the cluster grouping model all day. The problem with an enrichment model, which is what we have right now, is that we're saying that a child is gifted on Tuesday from 10 to 10:45. Really? Because he was kind of gifted when he woke up, and he's gifted all day, and he's gifted when he went to bed. So we really have to look at a way to provide for that child all day long, not just that enrichment school. Now, that we're not those types of experiences aren't going away. We're just going to embed them into the classroom so that we're truly giving these kids the opportunity to get to all day long.
And what difference will a parent notice when a child moves from cluster to CGP? Like what is different about what they're doing or what they're learning?
Probably the difference is the depth is greater, the acceleration is greater, the pace in these classrooms is faster. So those are probably the two biggest things. You're not going to see more homework, you're going to see different homework. Because these children have demonstrated that I don't need repetition. I got it the first time you told it to me. Why am I doing it 20 times? You're killing me.
And then the CGP student, and they'll be with the same group of CGP kids all day long.
They're the same there all day long.
Will they rejoin other classmates for specials?
It really depends on the school. They always rejoin for lunch. They always rejoin for recess. They participate in the grade level field trips, as well as some CGP field trips that are specific to them. They are, so Mrs. Bono at Redfield says, they are a Redfield kid first and a CGP kid second. And that's really important. They need that. They need that opportunity to be, because this is their school. We are never going to take your child away from a child. Never. I need to be 6. Whether I'm in a CGP classroom or whether I'm in a cluster classroom, I need to be 6. And that's really important.
I have one more question because I know I'm like rapid firing here, but I have a lot of questions for you. Last question. So you mentioned the 3 balls in the air. How does the school and the teachers, how do they care for that social and emotional ball?
One of the things that we do is we embed a concept called mindfulness and self-regulation. And we're actually having Laura Wingers, Dr. Laura Wingers, come and work with our CGP kids. We're training all teachers in mindfulness. I used the grant that I got from the state to train all the teachers in mindfulness. It's embedded into everything that we do with them. It's that understanding of that perfectionist behavior. That child who have teachers who go, well, he can't be gifted because he doesn't do anything. Well, yeah, that's perfectionism on steroids. He's not going to learn, so he's not going to attempt. So teaching teachers how to address that, how to deal with that, these kids have a lot of pressure on themselves. They stress over everything. Well, teaching them strategies and working with teachers so that they can begin to see the signs within those kids and begin to recognize that, this one's going to the deep end. I need to pull back. I need to put some structures in place. That's a teacher training that we're doing, and that then leads into the classroom.
How does a CGP parent get a hold of some of those strategies to start to implement?
There'll actually be a parent meeting. Dr. Wingers has offered to do a parent meeting for us in December, and we'll be advertising that all out.
This December?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
So there
Get that out there.
There will be a parent meeting, and she is wonderful. She's phenomenal. So she will be sharing strategies for parents, how to mindfulness strategies, how to deal with anxiety, all of those things that just seem to come with that gifted kid. And I have parents go, I don't understand. I get it. I'm a parent of 3 gifted kids. I have 2, what my family refers to as normal kids, and I have 3 gifted kids. They're different. I love them to death, but they're different. So we are working to train parents too.
Yeah. Do you have a date for that yet?
I believe it's December 3rd, but I would have to look. It's really soon. I believe it's December 3rd.
I'll take your card and give it to you because I know like that will be parents who really
I'll just send you an email just to
Isn't it high school you're saying they're failing?
For instance, America, when she was
example, when you move to Spain, I really wanted Spanish classes after school. We're going to have Spanish classes. And they said, you can get the parents to do this. And they did, but you know what? We had to make those phone calls for those people we had talked to and know, well, we did have to do this when Mary left, because she was driving. A lot of it is lack of consistency, too. A lot of it is lack of community. A lot of things are silent. And hopefully, I know just from meeting as we see people to talk to and provide, given the feedback that we hear, I think there's a lot of changes in the what I find is that so I do think one of the things I have is disconnect between the education and a lot of it has to do with what's easiest for county issues and where funding because there's a difference and donations there's rules attached to every single and so you have to know what activity and then there's much of the state that comes in, there's much of the federal. So then I learned that I can after there can be a tax credit class with me for somebody doesn't know and work me through. I'm going to no, it wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. If this was a side thing, this would be like a makerspace. Then who do you talk? Who do we talk? Is that something that we talk to? Yes, but not just that. I think you should go to site council. They're public meetings. You can ask, but I think it's also getting other parents to agree with you because I think they use a rule of thumb. If they hear like 7 or more parents saying it, then they want to do it. If they hear only one parent saying it, then maybe that's a good Facebook. I don't know, but I think that I've seen anything happen, but it's always parents, and that's what I think is cool.
She opened the door. She opened the door and I walked through. I mean, because good charts are based on the performance of others.
My children are one of the reasons why you do
Good charts are based on the performance of other people. You actually did better today.
Yes. And just on a pure basis, why I started twitching flip chart is a flip chart is an anomaly because it is a combination of positive interest when you flip on, when you're paying attention to the behavior that you want to see, and positive punishment, which is clipping down, which is you're correcting behavior because you don't want to see it. The problem is, a lot of times, just the natural progression of the day is that teachers will pick up the little naughty stuff and miss all of the times that they are doing.
They don't move at all.
Yeah, or
so like the day goes by, my child, she stays in the middle. She's like,
yeah.
So like,
and see that leads me to so maybe 3 months in when my clip hasn't moved once. Okay, I don't care if it moves down, it's going to move. And then, because I've been waiting to move up for 3 months, and let's see how quickly I can move down. Boom. Then she's getting the attention, even though it's not the right type of attention. So I am all about, and when I say things, because there are some kids who, when they clip down, they lose it, like for hours at a time. And whenever I hear a teacher go, oh my God, every time I clip this kid down, he goes off. And what do you think I say? Why? Now clip him down. It's an intervention. And if the intervention isn't working, you shouldn't use it. And then I hear though, but that's not fair. The other kids all get cut down. And so I said, just a good deal. on the bottom. Well, no, I say take all the negatives out and just have, here, just neutral, and so that he's lying for like 30 seconds, and then you go down, and they stay put down all day, so they can move it after that. 30 seconds.
All right, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and I really appreciate all the presenters, great interactions, great questions. If you need more information, feel free to ask for their business card. You can always call and email. We always want to be here for you. Thank you so much.
Have a nice afternoon, because
So officially adjourning right now at 7:29. Thank you guys all so very much for coming. Hope you got a lot of good info.
and